The day had finally come, the day of the awaited Cell Games, with the fate of the Earth hanging in the balance. Goku, Diana, and Gohan would be flying to the location of said event. They were able to sense where Cell was easily. She hadn't moved from her spot in 12 days, and she hadn't been causing any trouble. Unlike in the original timeline, with the original Cell, that felt the need to make a grand spectacle of the Cell Games, announcing it to the entire world and offering a gesture for anyone willing to compete to show up, Cell didn't do so this time around. For one, due to the knowledge that Cell had attained from absorbing Android 15, aka Donna, she was able to learn of the hyperbolic time chamber and was able to use it to her advantage. After getting what was essentially a year to hone and craft her body perfectly, she decided that there was no point in the pomp and circumstance. For one, there was no point in offering a tournament to a whole bunch of people who really weren't going to make much of a difference. Of course, if anyone happened to show up and they were willing to compete, then the more the merrier. So, unlike in the original timeline, Hercule won't be showing up here. Now, you might be wondering, where exactly does Hercule stand in this world? Well, as you all know, Goku and Diana and the other Z Fighters competed in the 24th World Martial Arts Tournament. Unlike in the original timeline, where Hercule won the 24th, he instead would get bounced in the preliminaries of the first round. And it wouldn't be until the 25th where Hercule would actually make a name for himself. So he would still be relatively famous, although now he'd be much more aware of his limitations, although that would slowly fade since the Z-Fighters stopped participating in tournament action after the 24th. As Goku and the others were arriving to the location of the Cell Games, they would see that some had already gotten ahead of them. Among them all, Vegeta. Vegeta was the first to arrive, and not too far after, Trunks, along with Cyborg. Vegeta was not on speaking terms with the other Z-Fighters. After the little stunt he pulled with purposefully allowing Cell to achieve her perfect form, well, safe to say, any allies he did have were scarce, far and few between. He didn't acknowledge anyone, even back at home with Bulma, who was rather disgusted with the actions of the man that she had given a chance. He didn't care much about what she thought either. The only thing that mattered to him now was winning. And after Kakarot and all the other losers got their chance and failed, he would finally get his revenge on the androids, proving himself superior once and for all. In total, Goku, Diana, Gohan, Raditz, Chi-Chi, Chi-Dai, Piccolo, Krillin, Tien, Yamcha, Vegeta, Trunks, and Cyborg would all be in attendance, as Cell would greet her awaited competitors. What a lovely day, isn't it? A fine day for battle. I have stood here patiently waiting, watching the sun rise and set. In this arena, we will engage each other. But I see this as an opportunity to achieve the magnum opus for which I was designed. I can feel it deep within myself, within my very being, etched into the foundation of the DNA that makes me. All of you. A derivative purpose for which I was born. But now the question lies, who will help me achieve that purpose? Will it be you? Or you? Perhaps you. Cell pointed at various Z-Fighters. I know that you're all fond of the World Martial Arts Tournament, so we'll be operating under similar rules. If you fall out of the ring or any part of your body touches the outside of the ring, you will be eliminated. If you forfeit, you lose. If you die, you lose. It's really that simple. So now, who will be the first to challenge? Before anyone could step up, Diana would be the first, with sword at her side and shield on her back. Under normal circumstances, weapons would be banned, but I'll allow it. I know that you Amazonians like to fight with style, and I can tell you wish to show what you've learned. Precisely. Piccolo would look to Goku and Gohan to ask them what was going on with the three of them. Why was their hair so different? Diana's normally dark hair was now a fiery red, but it was like it was her natural color. Along with Goku and Gohan, they were Super Saiyans, he could tell, but they didn't seem to be exerting any strength. It was as if it were natural to them. Goku would explain that while in the time chamber, they came across a stumbling block, trying to figure out the best way to augment their power. For Goku and Gohan, they decided that they would try to master Super Saiyan. Of course, they knew that Vegeta and Trunks had attempted to use the Ascended Saiyan form, bulking up their muscle and mass, which, while it did give them an extra boost in power, it slowed down their speed significantly, and any power that they gained would be inadequate if ultimately they couldn't hit their opponent, an opponent that would still be just as strong, if not stronger. But then that left Diana. What exactly could she do? Of course, when it came to base power, she was on par with them. However, when it came to transformations, she was lacking. That's when Diana figured she had something in her arsenal. She just had to be patient to master it. That being the Kaioken technique. Of course, in the end, it was not a transformation, but the same rules could apply. Goku would explain that Diana went through proverbial hell inside of the time chamber. In fact, for the 2 years that they spent on the inside, Diana dedicated an entire year to mastering this technique, and she came to the verge of death on several occasions. She would maximize her power, maximizing it to Kaioken times 100. After doing so, she would attempt to maintain that state of power, that specific state of 100 times Kaioken. She would hold it for almost 12 hours a day, every single day. She would hold it despite the strain that it put on her body and her muscles, the strain it took on her entire body and soul. There were times where she would have to be carried to the bed to rest, times when she was very close to bursting a blood vessel, times where she was close to just passing out from pure exhaustion. But she would continue. She would train every day until eventually holding 100 times Kaioken was nothing, until it was a walk in the park. And eventually, the strain started to subside. Her body was able to adjust. Even for Goku, he felt he could only try it maybe up to times 10 at most. And even then, that would probably be too much for him. But to see what his wife was doing, what she was capable of doing, she was pushing far beyond her limits. And it inspired Goku and Gohan to achieve their own. Eventually, they came to these mastered forms. Piccolo was amazed. So wait, you mean to tell me that from the time she's exited the chamber all the way up till now, yep, she's been using Kaioken times 100 she's been able to maintain the form even in her sleep. But how? How is she not dead? If she's exerting herself 100 times, well, it wasn't easy, Goku said. Theoretically speaking, Kaioken is a technique. The best way she could explain it to me is that Kaioken is like a house, each house having a different floor or a different level. It's a house that goes on and on endlessly, so theoretically, there's no telling how many floors you could go to. But imagine that you had to climb the stairs to get to each level. Sure, you could climb up the stairs to the first 3, 5, 7, maybe 10 or 20 floors and not feel any much tired. A little drained, but you would be alright. But try 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Eventually, it starts to become taxing. For Diana, she had to find a way to skip that process, the strain of leveling herself up one at a time. So this is her at Kaioken 100 then, Piccolo said. Essentially, Diana hasn't really achieved a transformation. She simply took a technique and turned it into a transformation. Because now, she can bypass going stage by stage. When she uses Kaioken, she can jump straight to level 100. Now, it's just a matter of how long she can keep the form. That was the tricky part. But when I suggested to Gohan that we stay in our Super Saiyan form and try to regulate it, that's what she did with Kaioken. And that's why it was so strainful. But honestly, it's almost like Diana was built just for this sort of thing. I mean, it's not something I could do. It would honestly be impossible for me or Gohan. Maybe you, since your regeneration is better. But for her, it was like the technique was created perfectly for her. Meanwhile, in Underworld, as King Kai was watching from his planet, he was truly amazed with how far Diana had taken the technique. Oh boy, she's revolutionized the Kaioken. More so than I could have ever have dreamed. But it's not to be a surprise. After all, the Amazons are a descendant of a Kai, so it's only natural that their body could acclimate to a technique that I was able to create. It's almost tailor-made just for her. So, you're able to maintain your high form of Kaioken, Cell would say. It's what I've come to master. This technique. I have made it my own. All for the purpose of defeating you, Cell. Cell and Diana would continue their fight, with Cell matching Diana's ferocity and intensity, as she would even perform her own Kaioken as well. As the two would continue on in their fight, Diana would attempt to use more raw and physical strength with Cell, and Cell was able to match it easily. But there was also something else. Cell was trying to decipher what Diana was really after. Sure, she seemed to be giving it her all, but there was also something else. It finally all came to a head when Cell would catch one of Diana's punches before responding with a punch of her own. And then, with a devastating headbutt knocking Diana from the sky back into the arena. I thought you said you were going to be giving this your all, and yet you're still holding back. Forgive me, I'm not a machine. Don't give me that pathetic excuse. I know that you're capable of far more than this. By my own calculations, you've exceeded all measures of power, and yet, I still feel like you're not giving this your all. What? What's stopping you from fighting me at your full strength? What prevents you? I see. You see her in my face, don't you? Android 15. Her name was Donna. She was Donna of Themyscira, my sister. And you You took her away. I want to know. What happens? What happens to her? What happens? I simply adjusted my plans. Plans that you and your friends wanted to interfere in. I originally had my sights on 17 and 18. But because of your efforts and 17's noble sacrifice, that was a change in plan. The good doctor built a spare, 15. I must admit, it's been a little jarring. I can tell that this wasn't supposed to be in the plans originally, but to be honest, I'm quite happy with how things turned out. To have a prime Amazon into my own being, to feel and understand what she felt. It truly is remarkable. But that's not what you're wondering. There's also something else, isn't there? Is it your guilt, perhaps? My guilt? Of course. Diana, I am made from your cells. It means I understand you as much as you understand yourself. I understand you better than anyone because I am you. Your brain waves, how you think, what resonates with you in your own inner being, I understand it all. You feel guilt because of the android crisis, don't you? Because of what you and Son Goku did all those years ago. Attacking the Red Ribbon base, you believe that your actions are what drove the doctor to do what he did. That your actions have inadvertently put your homeland in danger. But I assure you, I am far beyond the petty ideals of what Dr. Gero built me to be. Then why? Why do this? Why do any of this? You claim to have my cells inside of you. This isn't something I would want. Are you sure about that, Diana? I'm a part of you. You are a part of me. So why would you tell a bold-faced lie like that? Could it be that deep down you don't want to admit that there's a part of you that you don't like, a part of you that you think is ugly, and I bring it to the forefront. I shove it in your face, and you can't ignore it. A part of why you set out into the world of man was for adventure. But why did you compete in the World Martial Arts Tournament? What reason did you have to be there? Besides the fact that, deep down, you crave action. You love to fight. You try to deny it. It's a part of your Amazon heritage. To be better than the world of man. To strive for peace. But there's that inner conflict. There's that spark. That spark inside of you. When you surpassed your mother Hippolyta, you loved it. You loved that you had reached a higher state of being than any of your sisters. You loved that about yourself. And you wouldn't deny yourself the thrill of victory. So you continue to train. You continue to get stronger. Because in the end, you can't help yourself. Your greed betrays you, Diana. And I am the embodiment of that greed. And let me tell you something. You're capable of so much more. Even I can tell that when I continue to live, the longer I go, the stronger I will become. And it won't just be from the cells of humans or Saiyans or Namekians or those of the Frieza clan. No, It will be because of my Amazonian DNA. You are what inspired me to get better. You have so much potential, so much more than what you give yourself credit. So why deny yourself, Diana? Show me why you are a champion. Show me the true might of the Wonder Woman. That is what I want. Show me why I am perfect, and I will show you the reflection of perfection. Diana would have to come to grips with her own inner self, because as much as she wouldn't have wanted to admit it, Cell was right. There was a part of her deep down that enjoyed the thrill of battle. She loved competing in the martial arts tournament. When she defeated Goku, it was beyond satisfying. And honestly, that loss, it still stung her a bit. She enjoyed fighting alongside her family. She enjoyed getting stronger. When Gohan died, she hated more than just the fact that she had lost her son. Deep down, what she hated the most was that after her son's death, she achieved a level of power that dwarfed anything that Frieza could do at the time. And yet she couldn't bring it out until she had suffered loss. That was what she hated most about herself. The fact that she had this type of power, that she always had this type of power within her, but that it took losing someone she truly loved, her firstborn child, her only child. It took that tragedy to bring the power that she knew she had. It made her relive Hippolyta's death at the hands of King Piccolo, only for her to be spurred on by an even greater strength. Why did her power only call to her in times of tragedy? When she wanted the power, when she craved the power, no matter how hard she trained, she could never get it. But in desperation, it came to her like a river that could only flow but one way. It came to her like a downpouring rain. In her times of desperation, her power led no bounds. Even now, as she continued to hold back in her strength, not unleashing her full fury, a part of her still was holding back for the sake of others. And at the same time, what had she been training for? What had she been fighting for more than anything else? It was for this moment, for a chance at victory. Victory was something she was quite familiar with, along with defeat. And today of all days, despite her own better judgment, for a brief moment, she would allow herself to feel. She would allow herself to indulge in her selfishness. As a red glow would begin to form around her, Cell could only smile. So tell me, am I still fighting Diana of Themyscira? Or has Wonder Woman finally decided to grace me with her presence? Diana would smile as she clasped her hands together, preparing for herself the technique of her beloved, but with her own signature twist. The energy in her hand that would start to form would be that of a blue hue, like that of the Kamehameha wave, as a red aura would begin to form around it. The mixture of red and blue swirling together to form a bright violet. This power, Piccolo was saying, it's intense. She's about to unleash the full fury of the Kaioken, Goku would say. She's pouring her all into this attack. Is it going to be enough? Tien would ask. Who knows? But we all might want to take cover, because it looks like this fight's getting ready to end with a bang. Cell would hold up her hands. So, this is all you have to show for it. I do hope that you will make it entertaining at least. Cell, I truly wish that you could turn from your ways of evil. I want to believe that there is still good within you. If not for anything, for my own sake. I am made up of more than just you. What you define as good and evil, they are by your standards, but not by mine. And what standards do you live by? The standards that should only be set by the strongest. So if you wish to knock me from that perch, now is your chance. Very well. Kaioken Kamehameha. The ultraviolet Kaioken Kamehameha wave. The combination of two powerful techniques merged into one. Or Kaioken 100 times Kamehameha. The ultraviolet beam would launch towards Cell, as Cell would respond with a Kamehameha wave of her own, enhanced by her own Kaioken. The beam clash would occur in midair, as Diana poured all of her strength into it, hoping that the 100 times power boost of the Kamehameha wave would be enough. And Cell would continue to raise her power, as Diana's force was actually starting to push her back. But on this day, Cell would not be denied her destiny. Diana was a strong fighter, a proud fighter, but victory would not be hers. As the beam struggle would end, Diana's hair had finally returned to its natural state of black, as she fell to one knee, with Cell standing over her. Do you wish to continue? Cell would ask, starting to breathe heavy breaths. I can't. I see. So you finally admit defeat? I yield, Cell. Then the first victory is mine. Cell will allow for Goku and Gohan to remove Diana from the arena. As Krillin would have the bag of Senzu beans, Goku would ask for a few of them. He took 2, and Diana took 2 as well. Diana would eat the first, as she took the second one and flipped it to Cell. I knew you would do something like that, but showing compassion to an enemy? I am showing respect to a fellow warrior. That's all there is to it. What the? Krillin would say. Why would you do that? Yeah, Trunks would say. Even if you weren't able to win, you were still able to beat her down pretty good. If we just continue on, then maybe we'll just... For God's sake, where is your pride, boy? Vegeta said. Diana chose the path of a warrior. She admitted her defeat. In the next battle, It should be fought at full strength. To pick off someone who can't defend themselves. That is the mark of a coward. Think about it. If Cell wanted to, she could have just as easily have killed Diana rather than accept a verbal defeat. She showed mercy. Diana did the same. I'm sorry, Trunks. I know that it would be difficult for you to understand, but it's just a code, a way of life. It's something that's ingrained in us. We cannot change it. After Cell would eat the Senzu bean, feeling her power finally be replenished, Goku and Gohan would discuss things with Diana. So, how far do you think you pushed her? At my best, I say I got 30% out of her. Not bad, I gotta say. To see my lovely wife in action, I was truly a loss for words. Now's not the time to be a flirt, my dear. Well, what can I say? There's something about the heat of battle that really does something to me. But, as far as who's next, I'm going to be the one to take a shot at it. Goku would teleport to the arena, as Cell could only smile. I've been waiting a long time for this. My cells are itching particularly for you, son Goku. Even though the doctor would have wished you dead by now, deep down I'm sure he's happy. After all, why allow for his inferior creations to achieve his ultimate goal when I am the perfect being? Yeah. Dr. Gero's built a lot of things to try to kill me. He's been doing that for a long time, but as far as I'm concerned, I'm still standing. Not for long. Well, we'll just see about that. Goku would crouch into his fighting stance, as Cell would prepare herself also. The second match of the Cell games was now set to begin. Son Goku versus Cell. But let's raise the stakes, Cell would say. After I win, I get to choose my next opponent. Is that right? Oh yes. And I already have someone in mind. Cell would shoot a glare towards the upper deck of the mountains where the other Z fighters stood. One more to go, and then you're all mine, son Gohan. This concludes Dragon Ball World's Strongest. What if Wonder Woman was in Dragon Ball? Part 22. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow afternoon's video as we continue with Dragon Ball World's Strongest, What If Wonder Woman Was in Dragon Ball, Part 23. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.